Black Panther is an exhilarating film to watch, and I was so hyped after seeing it twice. The Lord, I know y'all looking at me like, well, first of all, I know y'all looking at me like, what's taking you so long to get to this review? It's just so many words, so many thoughts, so many of everything. But look, let's just get into it. And if you're new here, I know you're finna hit that subscribe button because, hey boo, you appreciated my time. So hit that button and I appreciate you. Thumbs up, because if you love it, like it, or nod your head at any point during the video, it's a thumbs up. And it's always a conversation. So engage and comment along because, girl, we got a lot to discuss. For those who are new here, I am Julesy everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, and I talked this out with my IG family a bit last week at the little itty bitty IG live. We be doing them over there. So join me there because they get the updates before here for those who want to be in the know. So now we are going to, well, at least I am going to have a beverage while we discuss, because it's a celebration. And I talked about this on my IG live, how I was going to drink this. I got the drink of the black people. I don't even like Hennessy, but today I'm feeling black as fuck, so let's do this. Ooh, was that enough? Is that too much? Sip on this. Oh, did you notice the artwork? The slayage. It's a new limited edition shirt for Smart Brown Girl because all black women, can you see it? Ooh, are valuable. Yes. We are just getting started. If you didn't know who these are, this is Nina, Audrey Lorde, and Ava. I believe the best way to discuss Black Panther is to look at the major themes I want to call out. Not that these are the only major themes, but for a semblance of organization, because like, I'm gonna be sipping. I might lose my train of thought. And naturally, I do veer off topic. There's so many thoughts, so many streams of consciousness. I'm going to break it down within these 4 points. At the top of everybody's mind is Eric Killmonger. That, hey, auntie, really took me out. And it's been interesting to see everyone's reaction and therefore interpretation of the complex character arc of Killmonger. So, is he right or is he wrong? Or is he right or is he wrong? Well, the very least, I must declare Killmonger is most definitely a hotep. Secondly, I know every woman, and I definitely hope some men walked out of that theater understanding that Black Panther's strength is black women. There's definitely something deeper to dig into there with the juxtaposition of gender roles in the African kingdom of Wakanda and how gender roles play out in modern day Africa in the name of tradition. And just how black women are viewed within the African diaspora at large anyway. That black women never took the sip of that purple herb, but they carried the weight of that powerful nation from beginning to the very last, very last closing credits. Thirdly, could Wakanda exist in real life? And I've heard a lot of people ask that, but within that question and conversation, I think there's a bit more to unpack on the political history of the African diaspora. And I was toying with the idea of doing a whole separate video on that, but child, we already late. Let's just get into this first. When asking if Wakanda could ever be real, we are just going to have a real critical look at what Wakanda would mean, not just for the rest of Africa, but the diaspora at large. Lastly, the boldest statement that I have to make about this film overall is that Danai Gurira is the best actor in the movie. You could fight me on that one, but you're not fitting to win. Just dish this straw cause too much hassle. I'm gonna pour me a little bit more honey cause we gonna get it popping, and let me sip on this drink and take it back to number 1. Eric Killmonger. Now, besides Michael B. Jordan looking like a whole ass snack, not the 50-cent honey bun, but the 99-cent one with the extra thick glaze, he not even really my type, but I had to catch myself thinking, I would totally let Killmonger waste my time if he knew how to stroke it properly. So sorry, let me keep this PG. Killmonger, for starters, was a manifestation of the horrors of my dating life because, as I already said, Killmonger is a hotep. An Ankh-right nigga that just know how to hide his ashiness a little bit better. You know how annoying it is to finally find a dude, 1, you're physically attracted to, 2, has enough sense of style that he doesn't look like he shops at Kmart, but clearly irons his clothes with stars. Just be turning me on. And he has swag while being educated with one of them real difficult diplomas that usually leaves their alumni to be highly socially awkward. Bitch, MIT, what? And he's a veteran, which low-key can be a red flag unto itself, but means he out here with some good-ass benefits and a pension plan with access to great housing loans and grants. Bitch, what? I'm just out here trying to live my best grown life. You thinking you done found a purple unicorn until you see his Instagram is full of reposted memes that look like they were created in the 1993 version of word art. What kind of LG 1992 Android do the people you follow have? Oh, wait, this is a repost from Umar Johnson, Tariq Nashi. Oh my gosh, your bio link is not a GoFundMe for hair colors. Sis, they wrote the ish out of Killmonger's character. I am fascinated that all sides of the Black American experience relate to his character, that the children of African immigrants see themselves in Killmonger, the ashy and the performative woke, those are two different folks, typically at war with each other. They see themselves, definitely descendants of Africans brought to the Americas during the slave trade, African Americans, but yet we find ourselves in one anti-hero. Killmonger, who was not so much a villain as he was an antagonist, I definitely saw him as a through and through representation of the everyday African American descendant of slaves who has a lot of knowledge of the struggle, the loss, the trauma, and the necessary pursuit of liberation. But in every book on liberation philosophy, what they have warned against, these individuals have allowed too much of the oppressor to live within him. And when you talk about liberating and oppressed people, Adon says there will be violence, and often we first turn inward with that violence. Freire says that in order to survive, oppressed people have to allow the oppressor to live within them. It is a gaze upwards when you understand they're evil but want their power and material things that you have to excise for liberation instead of letting it overcome you. And he tells y'all Negroes there ain't no liberation unless we all liberated. All the letters of the alphabet, puts a symbol on that hoe. Everybody. That I could identify so much of this liberation ideology and the forewarnings within that I could see that in Killmonger made him a very realistic and just well-written character. He signifies the era, the misstep, and the evolution of like the civil rights liberation movement in America. Quite literally what the Black Panther Party spiraled into in later years, regardless of the tenets that they were actually founded on. Even in a more everyday sense, what plenty of Black people are consumed with, this idea that power and material comfort equate to freedom and liberation. That Njobu or Killmonger thought utilizing claws to get vibranium out to the African diaspora made sense, or that employing the same methods of the United States CIA, a federal agency that has a very heavy hand, or has had a very heavy hand in the dismantling of independence leaders during the decolonization period in Africa. They helped kill Patrice Lumumba of what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, both of whom were followed by their betrayers who ruled as dictators for decades, with the support of the US and Europe pillaging it for self-gain. Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana, and I always have to say this, a graduate of historically Black Lincoln University, BT Dubs. Shout out to the King's Chair being shaped like that other famous Sigma, also known as the co-founder of Black Panther Party, Huey P. Newton. I ain't even a fan of the Sigmas like that, but you know, we give due where it's due is due. Back to Nkrumah, the father of Pan-Africanism, because we all cousins, distant cousins somehow, but he was driven out of power by the United States. And when I say the United States, I definitely mean the CIA was knee-deep in all that ish. So besides it being on the not very lowest of keys, crazy that the white good guy was a CIA agent, and then the next highest octave of a key was when old agent colonizer said Killmonger was one of them. What kind of ashiness has Killmonger thinking employing tactics that dismantle entire governments in order to cripple the livelihood of countries would lead to any sort of liberation? To wit, if I was to get critical here, Killmonger's father, Njobu, played by the realest Black man ever because he let his black ass wife Sterling K. Brown still with some chapstick though. That guy, again, why did he, the Wakandan royalty, try to lead this liberation through claws? You know, I was once told that you use the master's tools to dismantle the master's house. And then that same person a year later tried to claim ownership of my brand. Matter of fact, we was in Ghana when they said this to me, and I should have seen them for the devilish scammer they were in that very moment. Misquoting Audre Lorde, excuse me. People sure if you didn't know, shots to my brown girl, but Queen Mother Audrey said, for the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. They may allow us temporarily to beat him at his own game, but they will never enable us to bring about genuine change. There's more to this passage. I'll link it down below because you should read it. Go read it. Killmonger only talked about Wakanda's vast resources as weapons. Weapons only destroy. The truest line was when Okoye told him his heart is so full of hate. I'm not even really surprised that people believe Killmonger was right. I am surprised at the same people who understand what's wrong with like the likes of a Umar Johnson and all join in on the snarky comments about the ashy Ankh right. I'm surprised that they are saying Killmonger is right, because then you really can't be surprised that someone like a Umar or a Tariq is popular with Black folks, and particularly Black men, because they be half right to with the sound bites that sound good, even though they're steeped in misogyny and homophobia. Like, Killmonger clearly did not respect any black women. He didn't need to kill his girlfriend. He physically assaulted one of the elder women. The most respect he showed was when he snidely said, "Hey, auntie," to the queen mother. But you ain't ever gonna talk to Angela Strong Bassett like that ever in your life. You better get going, boy. Bye. You can't even gloss over any of that to say he is right. Besides, I just spent like 20 minutes saying he was too power hungry, like his oppressors, to ever become anything more than just an oppressor. Trust you me though, yes, I felt it when he said, "Bury me in the ocean," because my ancestors understood death was better than bondage. But even that's missing a few steps to uphold the belief wholly, because part of our ancestors' brilliance was their ability to survive and create a culture, a community, a people that has greatly shifted society and culture at large. And if you ever study the history of black women, you know that it is something you have to acknowledge, because the black woman body produced the offspring who became prophet and a people. And if I keep going there, I would just derail, but you know, girl, yeah, there's thoughts there. Killmonger, you know, he had moments of, okay, I feel you, because Wakanda is not all right. But he was absolutely just a whole lot of wrong. And I've read a few articles that bemoan Killmonger as a representation of African Americans as gangsters. But honestly, I was hotag through and through. And he's not dumb. He's well educated and intellectually dishonest. When we say gangster, or like thugs, we're usually applying a level of reckless laziness and willful ignorance, and I would not put that on Killmonger. Intellectually dishonest is still very dangerous, but it's not playing into the simpleton trope that folks like to throw on African Americans at all. I don't think that was his representation. This was not called Killmonger, it was called Black Panther. So even if the anti-hero made T'Challa look real weak, sorry Charlie, I mean, T'Challa was really upstaged by the black women in the film. Nakia, Okoye, Shuri, like bruh, you got knocked out and caught off guard with superpowers. And you got Okoye with the gold boots and red dress looking like a Coleman store. I don't know if I want to ooh or throw some hooks, using her wig as a weapon to keep your ass safe. What? Then we got Nakia out here doing covert operations as an individual to save Nigeria's in Sambisa Forest. A forest that was overtaken by Boko Haram in 2012. You got them niggas and the American top secret military that's definitely between Borno State, Nigeria, Chad, and how you say it, Niger? That place. There was definitely like a long read that I bookmarked in the New York Times about the American military, their top secret war that they're covertly and sloppily participating out there. And I haven't gotten around to actually reading it. I don't know, I skimmed it because girl, I be stressed. But yeah, it's a whole lot of things that will get you killed out in that area. And Nakia confronted it all without any Purple Heart. What you doing, T'Challa? What you doing? Shuri got all the technologies, and I really just loved her character because it broke up some of the heavier overtones of the film and delivered a consciousness in a joyful manner. Nakia, for most of the film, dressed in green, Okoye in red, and T'Challa in black. The Pan-African flag, also known as the Black Liberation Flag, black, red, and green. My people, I'm here with you. Nakia was definitely a sensible, humanistic counter to the discussion of liberation compared to the anger and power hungriness of Killmonger, because yes, like the Cumby River Collective, like Ida B. Wells, Alice Walker, Betty Lou Hamer, Yaya Santawa, Nana Maroon, black women have been the cornerstone of the fight towards the liberation of all black people in a way that usually takes great personal sacrifice. What you gonna do without us? Nothing. Amanda Steinberg was almost casted as Shuri, I mean, supposedly, but she recently addressed that she backed out because she didn't feel that as a biracial light-skinned person, she should take up that space. Now, there are definitely light-skinned people in Africa, but she said biracial, which if Wakanda don't let the whites, and technically for that matter, the Arabs and either, because slave what? To whom? This is a country of 4C, ma'am. Let's celebrate it. Celebrating, I don't think the point Amanda Lee made was wrong, considering how much the first to be elevated when we talk about leadership and representation within the black community is often the mixed, the lighter skin. You know what I mean? Sometimes we can afford to take a back seat, bitch. I wasn't me. I was not me. So happy, especially that the women were very black. I could foresee their beauty, and they were highly positioned as beautiful and very loved. The natural hair, the braids, the shaven head, it really celebrated the uniqueness of beauty in black women in ways we often don't see in mainstream media. And T'Challa's mother, Ramonda, That woman. All her jewelry features silhouettes of African women. So much of this movie was a celebration of Black women and their power within it. It was just, yes, yes, yes. Which leads me to the third theme. Wakanda was everything. And we all just want to pontificate about how close to that reality can we get to that in modern day Africa. An African nation with no plastic weeds. Oh my God, would be a great God for that one. It really was just so much beautiful hair. Even in the city shots, I was just like, yes, they got the crochet. You know, that was something that really stuck with me when I went to West Africa, because, you know, we done been through the struggle with the 4C hairs and always hearing that, well, maybe it's just more type 3s or people with curly hair in the world. You know, I was talking about texture discrimination. So I was thinking, I'm going to the countries where everybody got hair like me, and it's just going to be a celebration, because I just expected to see a lot of women who knew how to take care of their hair. And well, I mean, they had my hair texture. This really ain't the video though where we deduce why this is a thing, but hallelujah Tamarine is, because the hair is beautiful and uniquely styled in Wakanda, and I loved the structure of the city, bro. Again, I was definitely graded by the push to present Accra as like a metropolis that is similar to cities in Europe or America, because in a lot of ways it portrays the land and the people, and the buildings of Wakanda, the infrastructure just so beautifully incorporated the land and the culture, and it doesn't look like any given city in the globalist economy. Hong Kong had like 7-Elevens and McDonald's on every corner, literally every corner. I'd be so over going to cities and being like, oh, this is just a cleaner, quieter version of New York or London. Can I have a distinct culture, please? The Wakanda that was constructed hit the nail on the head. The colors, the patterns, the fashions, that when we talk about wealth in Africa or any part of the diaspora, it always relies on the white gaze and promoting a very ostentatious personal wealth. This seems so different yet tangible that at least architecturally, I hope to see this somewhere on the continent of Africa. The dress of the characters showed so much thought that in every one of us can walk out of Black Panther and see a piece of our cultures represented. The King's Council all represented various African ethnic groups as intelligent and wise. M'Baku was definitely a Nigerian. I'm not finna embarrass myself trying to do the M'Baku challenge, but when he said, I said we will not have it, oh, hit it like a good Nigerian uncle. And even though the actor, who I know all y'all think is fine, I'm gonna just roll my eyes at his Japanese girlfriend, because whatever, girl. Winston Duke has said that the Jabari took inspiration from Omega Psi-Phi, the patron saint fraternity of Hopetepism. Even though the Jabari worship the gorilla god and are Nigerians, I would have said they were more Alpha Phi Alpha, the fraternity of Nigerian Americans. Don't debate me on this. Just enjoy the Black Panther themed step shows and probates we're gonna see for the next year. Winston did a great job as M'Baku though. Even with a little bit of lines, bruh, he was hilarious and easy on the eyes. Still mad with the girlfriend though, but making T'Challa look short and hug. And all the characters just really made T'Challa look soft. I don't know if that was intentional or not. I enjoyed how they structured the government, because it doesn't look like anything we see in the Western world, and it did not need to. That we think the American version of democracy is the ideal government that other countries should model just plays into the capitalistic endeavors of our country. But when we think about Wakanda in the context of potentially being real, we also have to be critical of what Wakanda represents. Historically, T'Challa's family has been around for 6 generations. That means Wakanda stood around during the slave trade, the scramble to Africa that led to the colonization of most of the continent, and the pillaging of the native people, 2 world wars that were particularly exploitative of East Africa, apartheid in South Africa's neighboring countries, the decolonization movement, and the subsequent assassination of its leaders, the Rwandan genocide, the whole history of Sudan, AIDS, Ebola, Eritrea. Bruh, we haven't even touched the Americas. That's North and South, because the slave trade was vast and far-reaching. The Haitian Revolution, bruh, the crisis profiteering that happens in every Black country, civil war, civil rights, Jim Crow. I'm just tired and I haven't even touched half of Wakanda willfully turned a blind eye to. All this was manifested in T'Chaka's decision to leave Njobu's son, Killmonger, behind and to abandon his own blood, deny his legitimacy, and effectively stripping Killmonger of access to his own people, his culture, his home. But if Wakanda had played an active role in defending Africa and Africans, could it have become Great. They protected their borders and stopped warfare by disappearing. So in the same breath that I say Wakanda did the diaspora just dirty, I don't even know if the kingdom would have been great if it had to be constantly confronting, defending its borders, and giving resources to others. I believe elements of Wakanda definitely could exist because, you know, as I said, I love seeing this city, but also Wakabi and the border people. We really got to get Daniel to play in these simp-ass Negro roles because he's 3 for 3, and not because he loved Okoye, but because he betrayed Wakanda. We usually reference the village and the bush with a condescending air, and here Wakabi's people were intelligent, elite warriors, and I'm sure their houses were lit. When I was in the village outside of Sokode in Togo, I was thinking about, dag, like how would I make these people's lives better? And I had a real moment of white women's guilt because I knew my way of living in comfort isn't going to make their lives inherently any better. I'm simply pushing upon them a Western ideal that doesn't consider how they live and how to preserve the land. And Wakanda has many crucial elements that defy a Western sensibility while paying homage to the motherland. I just love it, and I hope to see it in different ways manifest in reality. But Wakanda has a whole many sins, and it just is like, how do you reconcile them? Then do we say we're okay with the monarchy? It wouldn't be a dictator because there is a political process within their bylaws for him to be dethroned. But I don't have the answer for this because I do end up conflicted when I read these books and essays about liberation and government and what that should look like. Knowing in reality how freedom of press is manipulated and how it takes just one person, one family to strategically go for that power grab and everything becomes a tangled mess. That's where most of our modern governments are. But I loved just seeing Wakanda in the movies, and it'll be interesting to see if any of the sequels tackle kind of these sins of Wakanda in accord with the other countries of Africa and the diaspora at large. Now, finally, I think I'm actually still sober enough to aptly sing the praises of Okoye because she didn't even need a whole lot of dialogue. Even her essence killed the game. The facial expressions, homie gave a monologue with her eyes. Okoye was just everything. Give Denai all the awards. I'm boycotting everything if she don't win. Everything come next award season. We all really gotta be kneeling like Wakabe because it's Wakanda forever and Okoye is my sister. I love the representation. I love the visuals. There's definitely room for criticism. If you haven't caught a hint, T'Challa, wow. You still cute, Chadwick, even if that kiss from the key at the end was real weak. No chemistry, bro. Like, none. I kind of grappled with where Killmonger's story seemingly ended. Why did T'Challa ever speak up and call him family? First view and I was like, damn, we just really gonna betray the African American like that? Second view and I was like, okay, I don't really know if Killmonger is really done for. And two, was it really meant to be more of a significant motif towards the Atlantic slave trade and subsequent relationship between Africans, African Americans, and Afro-Caribbeans? For all the critiques that I could come up with, I wanted to talk more about the movie, and it definitely just motivated a lot of great conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed Black Panther. I likely will be back to see it again. It just made me feel so good, and I hope you were typing along, commenting along, leaving multiple comments. I mean, I probably talked a little too fast. I tried. There's gonna be captions. There's captions on this video, so you know, you can always hit the room. You know, I'm sorry. I hope you were typing along, leaving multiple comments with your opinions, and I hope I didn't talk too fast. I tried to slow it down, but there's at least captions on this video, and I know you don't already thumbs up, and you're not leaving. Where you going? Where you think you're going? I got more content for you to indulge in. It's right here for you. You can watch it while you shop, smart brown girl.